we're going to be talking about plot and structure. So we're going to start with the story arc. So this is your story arc, right? You'll notice that this does not go all the way to the bottom because the story will seldom end where it began. So we have the beginning here, and this is where exposition happens. This is the introduction of your character. And often this is when the voice is established and the point of view. Next we move to this part, which is called incident. The inciting incident. That's when something actually happens to start the plot moving upwards. You're working towards this thing, which is called a climax. So between this inciting incident and the climax, the stakes have to be raised. There needs to be risk. There needs to be conflict. So we're going to write that. Now, the reason that the risk and conflict drives is because when we have this introduction to our character at the beginning, we need to establish something called a driving question. And the driving question can be something simple like, will Harry and Sally get married? Or it can be something more complex like, will James Bond defeat the Russian crazy spy? So there needs to be something that the character wants. This is driven by motivation. And then here in the climax, we're answering that question. So this is going to be a yes or no moment in the climax. That's why the stakes are raised. That's why all of this conflict rises, because we want to know the answer to that question. So each scene that goes up along this story arc here has to make things a little more risky for your main character. That's why we're interested, because we want to know why we should keep reading. We need to be interested in the raising stakes. Now here's what we have: falling action. And that's usually pretty short. The falling action is what happens to your character once we know the answer to that question. Falling action is short because we've already gotten the answer to that question and we're no longer interested. So conflict is related to interest. If there's no conflict, like in the falling action, then we're not interested anymore. And then you end here at the resolution, also known as the denouement. And that's how the story ends. That's how your main character re-enters into the world after having the answer to this question. Now, your driving question can be something as simple as a yes-no question, or it can be more complex, but also keep in mind that every scene along the way can have its own driving question. And that's when the risk builds and the tension builds. Okay, that is plot structure, and I hope this has helped you with your story.